Okay, folks, welcome to the solo pop culture roundup. We're going to dive into some things that I found interesting over the weekend and this past week. Thanks for being here. Let's start with something that I'm going to be really passionate to talk about. It is movies. Now, I don't just love TV and reality television, I also love the movies. And this weekend was a celebration of film. And I'm not joking. It got even me back to the theaters because Barbie and Greta Gerwig's Barbie and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer both were released this past weekend. And they both did amazing. I'm going to read you some of these statistics, and they blow me away. And it really is a cause for celebration of people that really put their heart and souls into these movies. And I know you might be like Barbie, but like, yeah, go see Barbie. There's a lot of stuff going on in Barbie, which I'll tell you my impressions about in a second. Which I do want to start even me talking about Barbie is that regardless of what I think about Barbie, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because also I'm not a woman. And I think women, this is a true great representation of a lot of women out there. So even though I found it amazing in so many ways, I'm probably going to miss one key element of that a lot of women will completely understand when they see this movie. So these are just my thoughts, and I love talking about everything, but I just want to make it known that I'm aware that I'm not a woman, that I'm not potentially the target audience, even though I think this movie plays for a great deal of people, not just one type of person. I mean, in fact, the person I'm like the kids thing. It's wild that this movie got made when you see the movie and what the movie actually is. Truly wild. But let's celebrate some of these statistics. So this is from a Deadline Hollywood Daily article. So Barbenheimer together, those two movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer together, made more than $511 million worldwide, and 235.5 million of that being domestic, being on home turf. So never before in the history of Hollywood movies have two films opened to 100 million plus, which was Barbie, and 50 million plus for Oppenheimer at the domestic box office. So we should celebrate that too, because I'm somebody, and if you've listened to this podcast for the last couple of years, I've had many rants where I want movies to survive and thrive. I don't want it to become an experience where we're just in our beds, in our underwear, eating cheese. Even though now that I say that, that's pretty good. It's what I've been doing. But I will say the feeling of going to a movie theater, it has been one of the most magical experiences that I've felt since a kid. When I grew up in Olathe, Kansas, we would go to Olathe Landing, this movie theater. And I remember the power that movies gave me, the imagination that movies gave me. Movies have been there for me at my hardest moments in life. It has been there at some of the most fun moments of my life, and it's created just so much possibility for me. And now, listen, dude, as a white straight dude, I've seen so many of stories about me. In fact, when I see more of stories that kind of represent me, I'm even tending to get bored with it. I love learning about new things, new people. My tastes really vary. So it's really exciting to see all sorts of movies. And that's what movies do. They open up new worlds. Like, listen, I think I might want to be a doll after this weekend. No, but they've always meant so much to me. And the experience of getting out of your house or your apartment or wherever you live and driving to a movie theater or going with your friends. I remember sneaking into my first R-rated movie when I was in junior high and so scared that I was going to get caught. Like I was the pussy that was like, should we be doing this? I remember watching a girl cry at a movie when I was a kid and just like, wow, she's so moved by this movie. There's so many experiences in movies that will just always stay with me. And even though when we go there, sometimes you're sitting next to a kid that's crying or being weird or whatever, or you're sitting next to me and I'm being weird, it's still an experience that I want to be able to share for the rest of my life. I don't want these to go away. But I've been scared. I really have been scared because every movie that's gotten us out of the house since the pandemic, when we were all locked away, is tend to be like superhero movies, Marvel movies, and I'm totally here for all of that stuff. But independent film, all of these things that I truly love too, there's not been as big of a place for that. And I'm not saying that Barbie and Oppenheimer, two huge budget films, are anywhere near independent, but there's a spirit of independent film in these films. They're done by auteurs. And Greta Gerwig, my God, what a career she is having, which we'll go into Greta Gerwig, the director, writer, actor, in a second. And Christopher Nolan just continues to steamroll. I mean, truly the Stanley Kubrick of our generation. His mind is just so fascinating. And I can't imagine, making movies. When I've watched them being made, when I read about them, I am a voracious reader of Hollywood books. I'm reading or listening to one right now about the Oscar Wars by Michael Schulman, and it's like my second time through. And it takes, it gives you the history of the Oscars, the Academy Awards, but in doing so, it's able to tell the story of Hollywood from the beginning up until now, and all of these stories and all of the different decades of film. When films became more independent in the 70s, when you started getting films like Dog Day Afternoon, Midnight Cowboy, I'm walking, yeah, Midnight Cowboy. What is the other one I'm thinking? Easy Rider. These kind of things that brought this independent feel after we had came out of the 50s and 60s, which were a very stylized way of acting, and it wasn't exactly the realism that we are known to see today. But Marvel movies and cartoon movies and all of that seem to have been the thing that got us back into these theaters. But I am filled with hope after this weekend that weird ideas, that really, that epic stories. I mean, Oppenheimer was 3 hours. I mean, it only felt like 2 hours, but it was 3 hours. And these kind of big ideas, these stories that'll tell us about our history, or these stories that will potentially give other people and potentially young women hope for the future. Those ideas are out there, and they're making tons of money. So I was so thrilled to read these box office figures. Now, in regards to Barbie, let me run down a couple of other stats for you, because I found this so great. So Barbie's accomplishments so far, just the first weekend of release, this kind of just blew me away. Which, by the way, how many of you guys have seen this movie? Have you all? I mean, it felt like everybody on Instagram had seen the movie that I follow. That I'm like, wow, we all just legitimately went out and saw that movie, and that's exciting because that's a shared experience. Even if we weren't in the same theater together, we were all experiencing this. We can all talk about it. We can all have the inside jokes about how good Ryan Gosling was as Ken. I mean, literally, we had a scene where Matchbox 20 song was being sung. I mean, come on, finally, Matchbox 20 getting their due. I do have to say, I want to see Ryan Gosling sing a Counting Crows song now, though. I do want to see, I want to push you around, and yes, I will. Anyways, here's Barbie's accomplishments. Biggest domestic opening of 2023. So of 2023, this is the biggest movie opening this year. Biggest opening ever for a female director, Greta Gerwig. Biggest opening for a movie based on a toy. Biggest opening ever for actors Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Biggest opening weekend for a movie that isn't a sequel, remake, or superhero movie. Biggest opening weekend for a movie that isn't a sequel, remake, or superhero movie. How amazing is that? That's huge. Now, as of Sunday, Barbie counted a domestic haul of 155 million and 182 million abroad, while Oppenheimer did 80.5 million here and 93.7 million abroad. Which, by the way, the Oppenheimer one is even more incredible because it's 3 hours long. It's literally about the atomic bomb. It is one of those movies that I would it's a hard sell in some ways, even though you just have the best people involved in it. I was blown away by both movies, even though Barbie hit me in a different way that I wasn't expecting. What was so great about Barbie too is, even with all of the advertising, I still didn't know I didn't know what it was about still. And I was really, it was kind of nice to have so much hype about a movie and still not necessarily know what it is. Did it take place in Barbie Land? Does it take place in our world? Like, what is the actual plot line? Are they making fun of Barbies? Are they respectful to Barbies? And I was like, yes to all of those questions. It was all of those things, which was truly incredible. Um, so let me talk about my feelings on both films first, and then we'll go into a couple more stats because I had been reading this article in the New Yorker about Mattel, which actually is the toy company behind Barbie. And Mattel is now looking to be the next Marvel, which I find fascinating in terms of pop culture, because Barbie is just the beginning in terms of taking toy IP. And when I say IP, folks, that means intellectual property. It's a big buzzword that a lot of business people throw around. Like, do you own the IP? Like, I own So Bad It's Good. I own this IP. Barbie is Mattel's intellectual property, their IP. So, Barbie on Friday, I was feeling down and I was told, just go do one thing for yourself. And I waited till my parents were going to bed. And then I snuck off to Harkins Movie Theater in Gilbert, Arizona at the mall. And by the way, I worked at a Harkins movie theater when I was in high school at the one at Fashion Square Mall in Scottsdale. And I just have such fond memories of working in a movie theater. I have so many stories. I was the guy that was giving you your popcorn. I was sweeping up the popcorn kernels in between movies. I used to do this stupid thing to make this girl laugh there. I would come in at the very end of a movie, like especially like a sad movie. I'm not going to say which one I did this during because it's really embarrassing now in retrospect, and I'm a real punk. But I would do a big pratfall at the very end when everybody was, crying. So I would I would be like, walking down, and all of a sudden like trip and roll, and I just thought it was so hysterical. And now looking back, I'm like such an asshole. But I saw the Harkins movie theater, the 10 p.m. showing, hot as balls. And I get there, I'm by myself, and I'm wearing all black. And I didn't have any pink with me because I'm, traveling light. So, but what I did notice immediately was how packed the actual theater was. It had been a minute since I'd been to a big multiplex, and especially one that's not in Los Angeles. But it was great, watching all of these girls and guys, like they were all dressed in pink. All these girls were running around going, "Hey Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie," which it could be annoying, but it was also great fun. And I sat in the movie. I got my popcorn. I got my little white cheddar popcorn salt, and I sat there with my big diet soda and my popcorn, and I didn't know what to expect, even though I thought I knew a lot about this movie. And it was great. Like the movie, it was full. A lot of people were in there, and they were all seemed really hyped to see this. Now it was a 10 p.m. showing, so there wasn't any real kids, not that I saw. Which I'll talk about, like the kid angle of Barbie in a second. But I was really looking forward to seeing this, and the movie starts, and it's really funny. I will say, like it immediately has like a 2001 opening, which is the Stanley Kubrick movie. If you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've seen both, and I don't want to give away a lot of spoilers, but what I will say, this script by Greta Gerwig and her dude Noah Baumbach. Noah Baumbach, by the way, is he did a couple of films when I was growing up: Kicking and Screaming, Mr. Jealousy. He's done a lot of films. You might know him from like The Squid and the Whale, but I love Noah Baumbach, and they worked together, and then they fell in love. I think that's an interesting relationship you should look into. But there's a big age difference on Noah and Greta. But they wrote this screenplay for Barbie together, and I am shocked after seeing this movie what they got away with. Because yeah, there's a lot of feminism in there, but it's not in this. I did not find it annoying at all. But I already have seen a lot of like kind of ultra right wing people. I'm looking at you, Ben Shapiro, that wanted to go in there and hate the shit out of this. And I always find it feel like Ben Shapiro, like this guy talks about politics for a living, and then it's like, dude, leave this shit alone. Culture wars are a waste of time. They truly are a waste of time. Now, you might be disagreeing with me somewhere out there, but culture wars are a waste of time. They're a way to get you angry. And if you are going to be so bothered by a Barbie movie, don't go to the Barbie movie. But all at the end of the day, he knows it's going to get people riled up. He knows it's going to upset people, this theatrical culture that will get eyes on it. He'll be able to put his 45-minute YouTube video up, and people will watch it, and this is why this is so stupid. But basically, To me, the message is everybody can be a Barbie and how unique and special all women are. And it's not a man hating film, even though there's a lot of funny jokes about Kens because you're either a Barbie or a Ken in Barbie land. But by the way, I'm a sensitive male, but I'm not a sensitive male enough to be threatened by a fucking Barbie movie and by fucking that like Ken doesn't get enough attention in this movie. Like, how, like, where are you in your life that you are getting this by Barbie, like by Barbie. Like my God, it almost scared. I was like, God, we need to get Ben Shapiro to watch like an episode of Vanderpump Rules. He would lose his fucking mind, and he would probably stand up for Tom Sandoval. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I will say the movie presented a lot of ideas that I was shocked that they put in. Not, I was expecting just a goofy romp. I was like, oh, this is going to be wall to wall silly. It's probably going to be a lot of very stupid jokes. And there was stupid jokes in there, but there were so many kind of really delicately handled things, like a really beautiful story if you got wrapped up in it. Also, like a mother-daughter angle. Also, of women of any age, being beautiful. Of these kind of struggles that I would assume that I've seen firsthand, not that women go through. That was all in this movie. That's a big thing to do, is to put all of this in that movie. And yeah, but it's still silly. I mean, Ryan Gosling, I mean, he truly could get a nomination for that. What he did with this role, you might think I'm being, and by the way, shout out to Jax Taylor and Kristen Doty. I would love for you guys to watch this together and not that Ryan Gosling movie Drive, LOL. Inside baseball joke right there. But it was he was great. What he did with this, like, he did so many subtle things. I mean, his singing voice is really great too. I mean, everybody really brought their A game to this. This Margot Robbie is having what a career, Margot. I mean, the first thing is, yeah, of course she's gorgeous, but she's not gorgeous in the way that, like, I mean, obviously I'm not an idiot. I realize she's gorgeous, but I'm not like, damn, she is hot. She's just beautiful. In fact, she really, last night, I rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's last film, because she plays Sharon Tate in it, and it had been a couple of years since I'd seen it in the theaters, and I was thinking about old Hollywood, and that's a great kind of 70s, like the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s kind of Hollywood film based around the Manson murders, but it was a different time in Hollywood. But she plays Sharon Tate, and I rewatched that again last night. I couldn't fall asleep, so I just rewatched that, and she is just so effervescent. She is the perfect casting for Barbie. Now, remember, Barbie was initially supposed to be written and starring Amy Schumer, and no offense to Amy Schumer, but thank God that they didn't go that way. And Amy Schumer said on Watch What Happens Live that, we couldn't agree on the script. I wanted to make fun of Barbie more, and that's not what they wanted to do. And thank God they didn't. I think this is a really special, unique movie. Now, of course, this movie is probably going to confuse a lot of people because they didn't know what they were walking into. Now, I would say if you are a little kid, I would be curious what you think. But I was trying to remember movies as a little kid that I saw that, I didn't even realize sometimes there was a message until I was much older, that hopefully there was enough pretty Barbie dream houses and outfits that kids are just happy to be there. And kids aren't like going like, where's my place in feminism? But maybe they are. And that would be cool too. Maybe it gets a kid thinking. But I will say, like, my sister and my niece went and saw it, not with me, but they saw it yesterday. And my sister really liked it. But I had prepped her and said, hey, it's not wall-to-wall comedy. Just be ready. And there's a lot of dirty sex scenes. No, there isn't no sex scenes. But she really liked it. But Addison, my niece, didn't like it as much because she just didn't, there were certain things she just wasn't expecting. But she's 13 years old. And I was like, well, that's valid. That's, everybody doesn't have to like everything. But I thought it was such, I thought it just really did so many things. But at the same time, like, I remember 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the movie, I was like, do I like this? I was like, I don't know. Like, there were things where I was like, okay, the tone, what is the tone of this movie? And then towards the end, I was like, oh, I think I really like this. And then afterwards, I was like, okay. And then I came back home and I kept thinking about the movie. And I was like, oh, wait, I love this. In fact, I really want to see this again. I don't know when I'll be able to, but I really want to see this again. And so I thought that was just, incredible for a movie to kind of get you there. And it was nice. When I was walking out of the theater, I was over, I was not eavesdropping. I was over, listening to these young girls talk, but these girls were like, I've already planned to see it again. I've already wanted to see it again. And it's like, that's what I want. I want excitement. I want people to like be like, man, this got me excited, or this inspired me, or what a great capper to my day. It's amazing, right? Now move on to Oppenheimer. Now, everybody, I can't believe the people that saw both of these in the same day. I would have loved to, but then in retrospect, I'm glad there was a day in between. But if you were to see both in the same day, I would do Oppenheimer and then Barbie, because Oppenheimer is just like, listen, my thought was Barbie, which is so funny to saying this about a doll movie, but Barbie made me feel hopeful. It made me feel hopeful. It made me feel like the world can be anything we potentially make of it, that ideas aren't scary, that we can share things in this world. That there, like um, it was not, it was not a glass half empty kind of movie. Like I'll always say I'm a glass half empty kind of guy sometimes. This was a glass half full movie. This movie believed in itself. This movie was kind of pure joy at times. Now, Oppenheimer um, was different. Oppenheimer kind of sobered me up to the world that we actually do live in, the real world. This is a real story about, Robert J. Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, who was played brilliantly by Cillian Murphy. And Cillian Murphy, he has done a lot of Christopher Nolan films. He was in all the Batmans as Scarecrow. He showed up in each one of those Batman films, but he was also in Inception. I mean, Peaky Blinders on Netflix. Just an amazing actor. But I will say half of his job is done just by his face. His face is so intense. His, emaciated face and his eyes are so piercing, and it is just, whoa. He just has to stay out of his own way sometimes, like, because it's just his look, photographing him on film is already just half the battle. Now, this film has everybody too. I mean, just so many amazing actors. Robert Downey Jr. gives a hell of a performance. Florence Pugh from Midsummer, who I love. You have Emily Blunt. You have Matt Damon. I mean, just an insane cast. Like, people were popping up right and left. And I was like, I know that dude. I know that dude. But I will say, it was a lot of dudes. It was a lot of dudes. And the women, Florence Pugh and Emily Blunt, they were amazing. But I will say Emily Blunt had a lot of tearful scenes where it was like, it was nice to see Barbie, and Barbie was in charge when this was like the guys. And I was like, isn't it funny? It's like the women, it's about this, their toy is Barbie. And then Oppenheimer, the men's toy is an atomic bomb that literally the destroyer of worlds. So I saw Oppenheimer, and 3 hours. I really didn't know what to expect, and it was good. It was good. It was, the story that he's trying to tell is so large, and he does it masterfully. Like I'm saying, Chris Nolan, there's really nobody better in terms of these kind of epic movies and the way he shoots it. He did that movie Dunkirk a couple of years back, which Harry Styles was in it for a little bit of that movie, if you remember. And I remember going to the Directors Guild because it was up for Oscar season, and I listened to him talk about the film. And I watched it, and then I listened to the talk back afterwards, and he was just talking about sound design. And he made sound design sound so fascinating. Like I didn't really know what it was up until I heard him talking and just had the conversations they would have, and how much work went into this. And you just realize how these films are just crafted, and how many people from all departments come together. Like for Barbie, they took all the pink paint in the whole United States at one point to paint the sets on this. There was a run on pink paint because of Barbie. But you see, this is a team effort. And these people like Greta Gerwig and Chris Nolan, they're like generals in an army, because this thing, you go into battle when you make a movie, and especially a movie like this. Now, Barbie had a budget of, I think, $100 million, and Oppenheimer had a budget of $100 million. Now, Barbie, they put $150 million in promotion, which, by the way, it's paying off because they've already made back most of their money this weekend. And now I just realized there's going to be Barbie sequels, which I'm like, how do you make a sequel to that? But they'll do it. They'll do it. Where there's a dollar, there's a way. So Oppenheimer, it was just a different experience. you're marveling at the acting, at the filmmaking. Everybody's at the highest level. There's not like one person that like shit the bed, like that guy I did not believe. Like Robert Downey Jr., you forget because of all like the Iron Man and the Sherlock Holmes and stuff of what a fantastic actor Robert Downey Jr. is. In fact, I think he will definitely get a nomination for like best supporting actor this year, which is great to people sometimes forget how talented Robert Downey Jr. is. But I was a fan of his even since I was like a little kid because he did this movie Chaplin where he played Charlie Chaplin, and I was a big Charlie Chaplin geek. Like I dressed up for him in like some of my high school photos. I'll have to find those. I think I've posted them before, but it's very sad because I thought I was so cool, and I was like, legitimately, people have asked me since like, you legitimately dressed up as Charlie Chaplin for your high school photos? I'm like, yeah. It was great. But he played Charlie Chaplin. He got nominated for an Oscar for that in Richard Attenborough's Chaplin. And I was into all that stuff as a kid that nobody else was. Like nobody else my age was like going to see Chaplin the first weekend when it hit the movie theaters, but I was. And this Robert Downey Jr. blew me away. But then, he got into all these big box office blockbusters after his drug issues and his arrest, and Iron Man really brought him back onto the scene and showed how talented and funny he is. And Jon Favreau, the director of Iron Man, really fought for him to cast him in that role, and it kind of changed everything for him because he was working tons even before that, but he had this history of drug addiction and he kept getting arrested. There's a real, if you go and look at Robert Downey Jr.'s past, like he went to jail at one point, like he was in prison for a little bit of time. And it was great. It was great to see him doing his thing again. But I will say that movie did not leave me full of hope. In fact, it just said, it kind of left me with man, we sometimes we're going to destroy ourselves one day. We're going to we can't help but do it. This kind of, there's like this arms race in this movie. And Robert J. Oppenheimer, the character, keeps saying, well, once they see the power of this, nobody will ever want to start a war because they will never want this kind of destruction ever again. They will not want it. And that's the opposite of what happened. Everybody, just kept like, what can we do now? What can we do now? Russia can get it. And all, everybody now was this race then to create more bombs and stronger bombs and bombs that can destroy us. It's wild. But it didn't leave me full of hope like Barbie did. And it kind of bummed me out. It was like, wow, geez. But it was masterful. It was masterfully done. I mean, obviously going to sweep up a lot of the Oscars. But I think now after seeing Barbie's going to be nominated for a lot of Oscars. So that was kind of my little 2-bit review. Let me know what you guys think. I know probably a lot of you saw Barbie and maybe a lot of you haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I don't think I would rush out to see Oppenheimer again. Not for a long time, unless somebody really begged me to go see it with them, which I'm trying to even think the scenario that would happen, but I would definitely see Barbie again. And if I still collected DVDs and Blu-rays, which I've tried to break myself of that habit, I would eventually buy Barbie. I would buy the special edition. I'm sure there's going to be some special pink edition. Now, this New Yorker article that I want to kind of cover with you guys, this was from July 2nd of this year. Alex Barash wrote this, and it talked about Mattel's toy box, and it talked about Mattel Design Center. This is in El Segundo, California, and this is kind of their big production studio right now. And here are some of the other properties that they've lined up through Mattel. There's going to be a Hot Wheels movie, which is also a Mattel toy. They already have J.J. Abrams directing that. Now, they also have a toy called Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Remember those? Rock'em? Vin Diesel is attached to that movie. Now, this building has hundreds of workspaces for artists, model makers, project managers, and it houses elaborate museum-style exhibitions that document the company's history and core products. Now, Comic-Con was this weekend in San Diego, and I heard it was still a blast, even though a lot of movies, all movies, unless you're a cartoon, cannot promote there because of the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild strike. But I heard it was still successful, which is great. I'm pro-geek. I hope you guys had a great time if you were there. Now, Mattel would always be a strong presence at Comic-Con, and I have many special edition Mattel toys. I have a Knight Rider Mattel toy. I have a lot of Batman Mattel toys. It's a whole issue in my storage facility that someday I'll visit. I'll have to show you guys at some point. But there's all of these properties that they have decided to turn into movies. And this is the first one that's gotten made, and it hit it out of the park. So actress Margot Robbie toured this center in 2018, and she decided she wanted to do the Barbie movie. Now, Margot Robbie's production company produced the Barbie movie. Margot Robbie is married, even though her husband, you don't see him a lot because he likes to put her in the front and not be photographed with her because I think he thinks that's better. In some ways, it is for her to sell things, but they produced this movie together. So they are the ones that were interested in Greta Gerwig doing this movie. Now, Greta Gerwig, started off as an actor in a lot of like really independent film, but then she's obviously directed Little Women, which was amazing, Lady Bird, which was fantastic. Lady Bird, just an amazing movie, and she also wrote the screenplays for those, as well as the screenplay for Frances Ha, which Greta Gerwig also stars in. So, I mean, just think of those projects like Lady Bird, Frances Ha, Little Women, and now Barbie. I mean, really, and all of those films have this great feminine slant to them, and she is knocking it out of the park. Her shots are amazing. The people that she's using for cinematographers, the script, all of these things are firing on all cylinders. This is a filmmaker with something to say. She has a point of view, and you can see it, and it's just so amazing. So, anyways, so Margot Robbie produced this, sent Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, her dude, to go and write this script. And Mattel was like, "Well, you need to show us the script. Let us know where you're at." And they're like, "No, you won't see the script. You're lucky for us to work on it. We're not going to show you the script until it's done." And it just shows you also what a fight it is to get anything made in Hollywood. We always talk about that in the show, about these things put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, even in reality television. That's why I was so blown away by how they handled Vanderpump Rules this season, because the production company Evolution Media, man, they must have, I mean, what they did was masterful in how they kind of maneuvered all of this stuff. And I swear to God, if any of you at home are saying it's all fake again, I can't talk to you. But anyways, so they got this going. This is their first film. They hit it out of the park. But I was just more interested in also that this is ramping up, and they've been planning to ramp up for now years pre-pandemic. And with this success, it is all systems go, because Monday morning, Mattel is going to be the name on every Hollywood agent, every Hollywood studio. They're all going to want to work with Mattel. Now, 13 more films have been publicly announced, including He-Man, Polly Pocket. By the way, 45 other projects are in development. Now, some of the projects, Tom Hanks is supposed to star in a Mattel project called Major Matt Mason, which I think was like an old toy of theirs. So it'll be interesting to see these other projects. But it also shows you, if you're willing to do something a little different, like they did with Barbie, then the sky's the limit. You're not just like regurgitating a Transformers film, which I think sometimes are the most boring kind of films for me. If you're doing something unique with this, it has more legs. And if Mattel can be that kind of anti-Hollywood movie making house, which I know I'm giving it way too much hope based on one movie, but you never know. Which, by the way, Transformers is Hasbro. And Hasbro has been trying to really get their film thing going besides Transformers, because they're trying to do Monopoly and Candyland, which is just great. Like, every toy you played with as a child, they want to make a movie out of it. Anything that you had a good feeling about as a child, they want to make a movie out of it. Sometimes I got scared and would make jokes of like, holy shit, they're just going to option memories from all of our childhoods and make movies out of them. But this is all called IP-based filmmaking, so intellectual property-based filmmaking. And I think it is very interesting what is to come in terms of movies. Now, Margot Robbie, when she pitched herself to Mattel and then to the studio, said, "I consider Barbie a billion-dollar property." And in other interviews, Margot Robbie said, "Listen, I was literally faking it till I make it. I didn't know it was going to be a billion-dollar property. I believed in it, but I didn't." But truly, it turns out this is going to be a billion-dollar property. I mean, it really is. So Mattel right now makes $1.5 billion annually from Barbie. I didn't know that. Just from the dolls alone, $1.5 billion annually already. And now Barbie is going to be on everybody's mouth for a long, long time to go. So that is my little Barbie Oppenheimer movie 35 minutes. I hope you guys liked that. What should we move on to? Okay, we did that whole Vanderpump VPR pop culture roundup on Saturday. But even since then, we've gotten more news because DJ James Kennedy, who now has custody of Graham, the doodle dog, let us know a big announcement today that that Graham is now being renamed. I was like, "What? Renamed? You're renaming Graham? Graham Graham got back to you? Now you're going to rename the dog, and this is what the new name is." And this is the new name of the dog. So the new name is Hippie. And then in his Instagram story message, he said, "We've decided to rename this little beauty Hippie. This is a tribute to my late godfather, George Michael's dog's name, the only dog I saw around the house growing up. Although George and Hippie are in heaven now together, I know that they are watching over me now, a proud doggy papa." Which, remember, George Michael is DJ James Kennedy's godfather. People forget this because his dad worked with George Michael when they were younger. And you guys know, if you listen to the show, I'm a huge George Michael fan, which I still recommend the documentary Wham! That just came out on Netflix a couple of weeks ago. Amazing. Really great. But I forgot that George Michael was DJ James Kennedy's godfather. And it hit me in the feels because I love George Michael. But I do gotta say, I mean, how much is this dog gonna go through? The dog has a name change? Like, how is Graham just like, literally, what the fuck? Like, Graham is having the weirdest year ever. I mean, we all are, but I can't imagine this dog is going through so much and potentially being aggressive. Like, and you're gonna change the name? Like, I don't know. Is it easy for dogs to relearn new names after years and years of the one name? And then, by the way, what if you guys see Graham out and about? Don't call the dog Graham. You got to call him Hippie now. Or Graham's going to be like, "That name sounds familiar. Who is that?" Like, I'm so confused. And it does hit me in the feels, like I said, but I am sort of worried about it. You guys know what I'm saying? It just feels like a lot of change for Hippie. Not Graham, for Hippie. Also, I did a story about Lala and Stassi on Stassi's podcast, which I was kind of bummed because it seemed like they were starting to wonder why they didn't get the same attention when they were cheated on. And I explained on this show that it's like apples and oranges, comparing those things. But it was sad to me that they were even kind of having this conversation. And I feel like, once again, this is how men end up kind of winning in a lot of these things, because women start just fighting with each other about stupid bullshit, like who got the most attention for which cheating on thing, majigger, or whatever, But also, what I was told then in one of my group chats, I didn't listen to the podcast, but I guess also they said in the podcast that Stassi said Hartford had to go to like a behavioral therapist, Stassi's daughter, because of certain behavior. And she's scared that Hartford will teach bad habits to Ocean, Lala's daughter. And I'm like, wow, that's just, it's like, can you imagine a little Hartford going, "I don't know what I did to you, but I'll take an apple juice." Not a Pinot Gris, I'll take an apple juice. Like, now I'm all of a sudden scared of Hartford. I haven't even really paid attention to Hartford. Now I'm scared it's like a mini early season Stassi. Like, what if Hartford's season 1 Stassi, season 2 Stassi? We're fucked. Also, in Vanderpump-esque adjacent news, I got to talk to somebody out there because, listen, you guys know I'm the bad boy of podcasting, right? Nobody can compete, right? I'll take on all comers. Well, we got a new person in the podcasting game. This was just announced. Somebody sent this to me, and I was like, "Hey, either I've blocked this person or they blocked me because I can't see the post." And then I found out exactly why that is. Because Randall Emmett announced on Randall Emmett Films, his Instagram account, which he blocked me after I compared him to Big Ed from 90 Day Fiance one time, which, fair. I get why you would block me. But by the way, I just want to also point out I'm one of the first people that compare him to Big Ed. I literally did that 4 years ago. And it is funny when people say, like, you know who he looks like? I'm like, yeah, 4 years ago I was talking about it. I got blocked 4 years ago from Randall Emmett. So Randall Emmett, he's doing a new podcast on, guess what? How to cheat effectively. No. It's called It's a Racket with Randall and Sam. It's a podcast about pickleball. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. That was literally my dick shriveling and going directly into my body. And the picture is him smiling with his co-host, and it's going to be available August 1st on all platforms. It's a Racket with Randall and Sam. What the fuck? Like, you know what's great about guys with huge egos? They never get it. They never get it. They keep putting themselves out there. This is potentially one of the worst choices since Twitter became X. This is one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen. Because Randall Emmett, dude, you need to disappear for a while. I'm telling you, I'm already feeling bad for Randall's Instagram. His Apple Podcast reviews. I mean, this is not the time, unless he kind of loves that. Like, I can bounce off some of this Vanderpump Rules attention. Like, what? First off, I don't like, no offense to pickleball. I haven't played it. I would play it, but I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. Not going to listen to a podcast about pickleball. Listen, I have melatonin for that. Is there any part of what I just said of like, did any of you guys stop and just go, you know what? Let me write that down. August 1st, It's a Racket, Randall. Is anybody, what's so fascinating about podcasts is that, mine included, half the time you're like, did anyone legitimately ask for this? Like, what goes through Randall Emmett's head? He's been known to make a lot of bad films, and he's made his way during that. But now he's like, you know what? I bet I can make bad podcasts as well. And also, try to capitalize on some of that Randall scandal, literally horrible stories out, about me everywhere. But now is the time to talk about one of my true loves. And that's asking for young girls to send me nudes on Instagram. No, it's for pickleball. My first love, pickleball. And it's just wild. It's our attention economy, right? The fact even me right now saying, like, listen to me, or look at me, listen to me. But Randall has that too. Even worse. Even when it's like, probably should chill, he's like, now's the time to do a podcast. Now is the time. I can guarantee you now is not the time. And usually, what do we see with these things, folks? We are students of pop culture. When this shit happens, it's going to create more conversation about him. More women are going to come forward. You're going to start hearing even more horrible stories. I guarantee you. This is 42 minutes and 18 seconds into the Monday episode. Somebody mark this, because we're going to come back and visit this in a couple of months and see where we're at. I do not have high hopes for this. What if this is like the best podcast in the history of podcasts? What if Bethany Frankel is like, then I had to start a pickleball podcast. I am one of the biggest pickleball fans. Everybody knows it. And I saw an opening in the market. Oh, Bethany. Okay, so that is a little Vanderpump corner. Also, Ariana is in Fiji right now filming the American version of Love Island. So amazing. I wonder if that'll be part of VPR in any sort of way. It is weird though, right? Okay, so on the social media, before we get to Bethany Frankel, I said that earlier, overnight, we should be getting Elon Musk, the guy that spent $44 billion on Twitter, $44 billion. And it was said last week that it is only worth now $15 million, $15 billion. I'm sorry, $15 billion. Imagine $44 billion, and within a year, bringing it down to a total valuation of $15 billion. The thing with Twitter, and somebody on Twitter got bummed that I was bagging on Twitter. Like, Twitter, I've been there, I think, near day one. And I rarely post things that are real in my life on Twitter. I save that for this, but I do a lot of jokes. I've practiced a lot of just bad jokes on there. I've gotten better at joke writing because of Twitter. And I love seeing the people I follow and all of their tweets. And it's like one of those nervous habits, that and Instagram. But I've noticed, and I'm not the only one, over the last couple of years, it is so hateful. I've seen the worst things. I've read some of the worst things about people, said about minorities, said about sexuality, saying about genders. I've seen just things that have turned my beard white. It gives me a bad, scary feeling most of the time. And you would say, well, don't be on it, because that's what I say a lot of the times. Well, I try not to a lot of the times. And that's why when Instagram, they just created Threads, Mark Zuckerberg's Threads, I'm having a better time on there right now. It's a more positive experience. Yeah, like it's not nearly as full as Twitter is. And there's a lot of features that aren't there yet, but I don't get the knot in my stomach yet. I'm sure that will change as well. But I like it. It's a fairly positive experience. Go follow me on there, by the way, if you're on Threads. But I like it right now because I don't see like the hate-filled messages I see on Twitter. And that's even with me blocking. Like every time I see a hateful message, I'll just block. But anyways, Elon said today that it is changing to X. They're not even keeping the Twitter name now. Like, I don't even possibly begin to understand how this is a smart business move, because it reminds me of a little network, a little called HBO, right? HBO. And then it became HBO Max. And now just recently has become Max. We've scrubbed HBO entirely, And I'm like, that is so sad. It's like these billionaires and these corporations, they just seem to get it wrong so much, and they spend so many millions and millions of dollars rebranding these things, thinking that's the real thing, instead of paying their employers instead of paying their employees a fair wage, instead of paying writers and actors and all this stuff. They're like, we'll rebrand it to Max. What a way to confuse the consumer even more. And I just wonder sometimes the hard data, like, where does this say that this is a good idea at all? So Linda Yaccarino, who most recently has taken on a big position she's running Twitter, which is now X. Elon appointed her a couple of months ago. She, an hour ago, tweeted, X is here. Let's do this. Let's not. Anyways, this is what she tweeted 10 hours ago. It's an exceptionally rare thing in life or in business that you get a second chance to make another big impression. Twitter made one massive impression and changed the way we communicate. It's been 17 years now. Now X will go further, transforming the global town square. X is the future state of unlimited interactivity, centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Powered by AI, X will connect us in all ways we're just beginning to imagine. For years, fans and critics alike have pushed Twitter to dream bigger, to innovate faster, and to fulfill our great potential. X will do that and more. We've already started to see X take shape over the past 8 months through our rapid feature launches, but we're just getting started. There's absolutely no limit to this transformation. X will be the platform that can deliver, well, everything. Elon Musk and I are looking forward to working with our teams and every single one of our partners to bring X to the world. This is legitimately like Randall Emmett's podcast. Nobody asked for this. I just wanted to see less hateful Nazis on Twitter. That's what I wanted to see. I didn't need X. Totally didn't need it. I wanted to get, like, Sophie Ross's account is still stolen on Twitter. In fact, Bravo historian Samantha Bush, her account got stolen over the weekend. My account will probably get stolen soon. And then they just change it to like some Bitcoin account, and it like erases the existence of the actual owner of the account. Those are the things I want fixed. I didn't need a X. Like, why are you so, it's like just another thing. It's like men getting threatened by Barbie. Like, Elon, are you this threatened by Mark Zuckerberg doing Threads that you did? And this has been and then the other thing, you guys, powered by AI, powered by artificial intelligence. What? Could you be a little more specific? What does powered by AI mean? Because if I have a fucking bunch of Terminators, you want to know a way to make Twitter worse? Have it run by Terminators. Have it run by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the wild, wild west. We do not know enough about it still for it to run one of what used to be one of the biggest social media apps to give news, to get news in the moment, day and date. They are completely ruined. $44 billion. $44 billion. We'll see what X is tomorrow. Yeah, guys, today it's the week of X, folks. When they said X, I was like, is this like a Fast and Furious like product tie-in? But I like this, and also this Linda, this statement. It's like it can do everything. I'll do a podcast, but I will also fly. Monkeys will also fly out of my butt. I can do everything. I will take my urethra and use it for urine, but it will also have Diet Coke pouring directly out of it. I can also, it's like all of this, like, dude, just wanted a place to write my stupid jokes and read news. Like that's all I wanted. I didn't need a hub for all of this shit that I can get better anywhere else. I just wanted less hate. It's just wild. But you got to pay attention to social media, right? It seems to run the world in so many ways. So let's keep our eye out on that story. And by the way, it is pop culture focused. Like these things really transfer over into pop culture now. Okie dokie. Like I said, Harry Styles. This is kind of a positive little story in a sense. Like I said, he dropped to his knees in an emotional goodbye this weekend because he wrapped up his Love on Tour with a teary farewell in Italy. This guy is just, have we ever had like, besides like some Taylor Swift, like this guy just top of the world, it seems like. I mean, in Saturday night was his last show, July 22nd. He closed the show with an as yet untitled song that was new to fans. It went on for about 10 minutes and it was an instrumental ballad. Oh my God. Was it Taylor Swift's? Was it that song from Red, Taylor Swift? It was just Styles on piano. His name and the phrase new song trended on Twitter. You mean X on Saturday as fans reacted to hearing new music from Styles at his final Love on Tour date. It was an emotional end to a tour that went on for nearly 2 years. He says, I don't get to do this if you guys don't come, Styles told the audience during a speech that had fans in tears. I know that more than anyone else. You guys being here tonight, I know you wanted to make it special for me. You make it special for me every single night. The atmosphere that you've created, the family that you've created, the safe space that you've created, I want to thank you for everything. I know feeling so incredibly small in this world, it can be really, really difficult to feel like anything you can do can make a difference. I promise you. I see it all the time in the little things that you do, in the way you treat each other, how it has affected all the people around me, how it has affected people out there. It is so much bigger. It does not end when this tour ends. I want you to continue it. Put love out into the world. It needs it a bit right now. I love you all so much, and I'm going to miss you. I will be loving you so, so much. If you've been supporting me for 1 year, 5 years, 13 years, whatever it is, not only have you changed my life over and over again, but you've made me the happiest. I am so thrilled and happy to be here tonight. I'm so happy. Now, this tour was launched on September 4th, 2021 in Las Vegas. It brought Styles to 5 continents and has become one of the 10 highest grossing tours of all time. The former One Direction singer has earned almost $600 million from the tour as of a week ago. Cha-ching. That is truly wild. Like, I really like Harry Styles. And which, by the way, Zayn Malik from One Direction, his single released a couple of days ago as well. And I'm sure that is doing good. I thought it was really a great song. We'll see. And now I know Zayn is a lot more reclusive than Harry. Harry seems like he has that gift. It's kind of like Dave Grohl in a sense, that he seems like he is unencumbered in a way that a lot of us are. A lot of us are cumbered, is that he doesn't get caught up in a lot of the bullshit that we do. And it's a real gift. He just wants to go out there and sing great songs and make people happy. And I think that's so amazing to do. And for 2 years, he's been doing this show. And each time I've seen all the girls in my feed, every time he's somewhere, it always pops up in my feed. And he always seems like he's having the best time. He's given them a great experience. I saw him one time at Coachella, not this Coachella, but the Coachella passed. He headlined on Friday night. And I got to tell you, he won me over. I wasn't the biggest Harry Styles fan, but now I'm like, I like that dude. I'll support that dude. He really, it's hard to buy those tickets because everybody wants those tickets, but he was just great. It was infectious, and he's got some bops. And that's what we need. It's like, it'll be great to see him grow. It'll be great, his dress. It's, his dressing style reminds me of Bowie in some ways. His music doesn't necessarily do that, but he's getting, like, some of those songs are just really amazing. So I'm really excited to see where he goes. But sometimes you're just like, leave a little for the rest of us, dude. Leave a little. It's like John Mayer. You're like, how talented can you be? Like, come on, man. Like, please. Could you imagine having to try to compete for a girl against John Mayer or Harry Styles? You'd be fucked. You'd be fucked. The only way you wouldn't be fucked is if the girl's Ariana Grande, and then you're like, you might have a chance. You might have a chance. Ariana Grande likes a very specific type of person, it seems like. But other than that, John Mayer and Harry Styles, it would be game over. You would never be able to compete. You never. If I'm going up against John Mayer and Harry Styles, you really hope that person is blind or just has an affinity for podcasting and reality shows. And even then, I'd still be fucked because John Mayer's best friends with Andy Cohen. So he beats me on that front too. You know what I need? You know what I need to do? I need to get a catalog of every tattoo John Mayer and Harry Styles has, and then I'm going to get every one of those tattoos on my body. Yeah, I'm going to do a mashup of Harry Styles, John Mayer tattoos everywhere. I'm going to be like the illustrated man, and I'll be like, yeah, I've got that whole wing thing under my breast like Harry Styles does. I've got all the tribal tats like John Mayer. Do not know how to play the guitar or sing, but pretty good, huh? Yeah, I couldn't get one of those under my breast because I think my man boobs would make it look weird. Now, speaking of Ariana Grande, we spoke about her a little bit with Demois, but this was before this information came back. Now, they are on break from filming Wicked, the musical adaptation, or the film adaptation of the musical, and they were almost done. But Dalton Gomez, they separated, her husband, and now it seems like that she is dating her co-star Ethan Slater, who is married, and they have a child within the last year. And you got to, I want to be really delicate about this because Ethan Slater, I don't know him. He was the lead in the SpongeBob SquarePants musical. But if he's in the movie version of Wicked, this guy must be fucking insanely talented. He must have a great voice, all of this stuff. But he's different looking. Now, I'm a different looking kind of guy too. So I get it. I don't want to but he's very different looking. And many people, I've seen everybody make this, but it looks very similar to Ariana Grande's brother, Frankie Grande. Very similar. But also you're like, wow, Ariana Grande. Now, Ariana Grande, she dated Big Sean. Big Sean, very attractive man, stereotypically handsome. But then you got Pete Davidson. And I know Pete Davidson has a big dong. A lot of people think he's sexy. But Pete Davidson, an interesting looking guy. Don't argue with me. Interesting looking. I'm not taking away from comedy, all that stuff. He has all of that. And then Mac Miller, amazing rapper, rest in peace. Interesting looking guy though, right? Then this Dalton Gomez, like I said to Demois, looks like a 16-year-old woman. Very interesting looking guy. And now, this Dalton Gomez, I wonder if he went to the Wicked set and looked at the weirdest looking guy on the set and goes, that guy's my competition. That guy's a threat. You wouldn't have seen this guy coming from a mile away. Now, the sad part of this story is that he is with this guy, Ethan. His wife, this lady named Lily J, has been shocked by the news reports about Slater and Grande after apparently splitting suddenly this year. The publication also shared comments from sources that speculate that Slater's connection with Grande is a reason why he and Jay, his wife, suddenly broke up, and now when nothing appeared wrong between them. They have been married since 2018 and celebrated their 10th anniversary as a couple November 2022. In May, in celebration of Mother's Day, in an Instagram post of a picture of their infant son's hands, he wrote, "Happy first Mother's Day to the most loving, caring, and wonderful mom person in the world." That was Mother's Day. Slater has made his Instagram private in the days since reports linking him and Grande. And what's crazy is now that they're on strike, they're not even filming this movie. So Ariana Grande and this Ethan guy, the news broke, and there's I guess we just have to hang out all the time. Ariana Grande, though, there is this pattern. If you kind of look, she has been with people that have like been with other people while she's kind of with them in the beginning. And then like Mac Miller, if you study a little bit about that, and it's not a great look. I mean, no offense, Ariana, very talented, obviously, but now there's like something that's there's a thing there, right? That's a thing. Like that's a habit. It's habit forming. I think I'm going to try to have a therapist on to actually talk me through this because I was very curious of the heart wants what the heart wants, but it's just such a weird story on so many levels. But also, I sat there and I just thought about 16-year-old little Ryan Bailey and a Horizon High School musical of Grease. I'm like, shit, I could have potentially gotten Ariana Grande back then. Like it gives hope for us nerdy theater geeks everywhere. Like you're telling me, I do love that. That's where the world is fair sometimes. Like insanely hot people will sometimes have an affinity for weird looking people. It's amazing. It's like the great equalizer. You're like, that's great. I mean, I don't love that this guy was with a lady, and they had a kid together. Obviously, wish he was single, but there's somebody out there liking interesting looking guys. I'm all for it. Just don't like the rest of it. Um, oof. Okay, there are so many other news stories, you guys. I'm going to call it a day though, and I got a whole because I have like an hour on Bethany Frankel. Bethany Frankel and her union. I've been deep diving Bethany today, but we're an hour into this, and I'm feeling kind of sad about my dog, and I'm really just trying to fake it until I make it during this hour, and I've not been fully in it as I want to be. So I'm going to stop instead of going another hour, which I have enough material for. But you know what's great? We have Tuesday's episode. Also, I have a Real Housewives of Orange County recap coming at you. I got guests this week. I got guests next week. I got a lot of great things happening. But we've got a lot of other news stories because I want to cover Jamie Foxx's video message about his return, which was really almost teared me up on Friday night. Erica Jane's earrings. We got John and Kate Gosselin news. I want to go into Kardashian money news. Roni salaries, which will tie into Bethany Frankel. I want to talk about Jerry Seinfeld's billionaire dinner over in Italy. And I want to talk about Doja Cat. Doja Cat, which by the way, Doja Cat will be our last story, actually. Doja Cat. Now, Harry Styles is somebody that seems like he loves and appreciates their fans. Taylor Swift, another person that really puts fans in the driver's seat. Now, Doja Cat is a singer-songwriter that legitimately seems like she hates her fans. It is so fascinating. And it makes me laugh, but it only makes me laugh because I don't really care about Doja Cat. I'm neither here nor there on her. Like I like a couple of her songs, but I'm not like, fuck yeah, Doja Cat. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, good. She's good. I saw her perform at Coachella. She was great. But it never it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm a stan for life. But this Doja Cat, she got into a little bit of trouble. I don't even think she cares that she got into a little bit of trouble today, but she alienated a bunch of fans today. This is from a TMZ article. Doja Cat appears to be opening up a can of tough love on her staunchest fans, rebuking a pet name they've given themselves and telling them to grow the hell up. The rapper singer has been getting some side eye from her loyal supporters over the past few days, and it all appears to have come to a head this weekend when she shot down a term a lot of them use, which is kind of in the vein of Nicki Minaj stans. So a lot of her fans were starting to call themselves kitten or kittens. And there's another name as well, but it's blacked out, which by the way, when I think of kittens, I think of Annabelle DeSisto. She calls her listeners kittens, which by the way, I call my listeners baddies. Hey baddies, our Patreon, the baddies, which I thought was the silliest, lamest thing when the show first started. And now I've kind of grown to love it because it's so stupid in a sense. But then when you over the years, I've kind of like, yeah, man, we're baddies, dude. We're the baddies. We're badass baddies. But anyways, fans were calling themselves kitten or kittens. And Doja Cat tweeted, "My fans don't name themselves shit. If you call yourself a kitten or kittens, that means you need to get off your phone and get a job and help your parents with the house." She was also referring to Nicki Minaj. Her fans call themselves Barbs, something Nicki seems to have embraced. But yeah, Doja isn't down for that. Now, in a since deleted tweet, she deleted that tweet that I just read to you. And then a couple of people she interacted with on this Twitter thing. This one says, "What should I change my name to since you don't like the term kitten?" And Doja Cat responded, "Just delete the entire account and rethink everything. It's never too late." And then Doja Cat wrote, "You making my government name your your screen name is creepy as shit." So she just like went in on her fans, and she has a tour that is on sale now. But then a lot of her fan accounts have deactivated. They're like, okay, we're out. We're out. And Doja Cat said, "Good riddance." Doja Cat blocks fans for, but also there's a deeper story to this because she's blocking fans for criticizing her boyfriend and controversial comedian Jay Cyrus. And Jay Cyrus, if you look into this guy, he's got some real big issues. I don't think I'm going to go into that right now, but look up Jay Cyrus, and yeah, he's done some wild stuff. But I guess she was blocking fans for that. Oh, you know what? Well, actor comedian Jay Cyrus has been accused of harassing several women on the platform Twitch between 2020 and 2022. And that was one of the things that he's done that have kind of disturbed people, and she's blocking people because of them. But these fan pages, these fan accounts, they all deactivated. They're like, okay, well, if we're not appreciated, if you don't need us, then fine. And I think that's interesting. It is truly unique in that I'm like, wow, that's a new kind of bit, like just fully hating your fans, fully saying, I don't, go get a life, go get a life. And it could be honest, but Doja Cat is she says so much shit though. This is not the first weird thing that she said or done, but it is kind of a slap in the face to fans. Like if you do anything and put it out there and anybody listens to it, reads it, watches it, you owe them kind of this small debt of gratitude. You don't owe them the world. It's not like this insane parasocial relationship, but you do owe them. You owe them to try to make their day a little bit better or make them think a little bit more about something. You just owe them in some way. And this is not how you do this, in my humble opinion. So that's where we're going to end the show today, you guys. But I do have a lot more stories. So come back on Tuesday and you're going to get those. Go on over to the Patreon if you want to hear that more. The Roni episode 2 recap will be up there later this week. We got the OC recap. We got all that stuff I already told you about. But I hope you guys have the best week ever. Thank you for always being there for me, for my family. I've got a lot of people reaching out like, "Oh, what can I do for you?" I'm like, you guys have done enough for me. You know, the cards that you've sent my mom, the flowers you've sent my mom, my family, the amount of respect that you've shown me, I will never forget that. So I don't need anything. Like, I just need you to keep showing up and listening to this, getting new people to listen to this, and hopefully I can get a second wind and get back on my game. Even though I think we got some good moments in here today, but who knows? Okay, I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.